Hi, I'm Gary Widener, Director of Choral Studies at Central Washington University, and I'd like to welcome you to An Informants. Informants being a juxtaposition of two words, perform and inform, which we're going to do some of each tonight. What a difference a year makes. 1 year ago to the day, we boarded a bus to Spokane, Washington to sing for a choral directors conference. We were supposed to sing on Friday evening. We got on the bus Thursday. We were going to do a clinic, an exchange, which we did with a grad, Sarah Carroll, at Lewis and Clark High School. Wonderful exchange that day. Leaving that day, I got a phone call from the conference planning committee chair saying, could you come and stop by? It's urgent. I stopped by and they said that they were thinking of shutting down the conference a day early because of the pandemic. We were supposed to sing Friday night and they were going to close the conference at noon on Friday, so we were asked if we would sing on Thursday evening. What followed was a frantic set of phone calls and organizational things, and we ended up singing on Thursday night at 9:30. We left the conference at Friday at noon, and we got on our bus to go back home, and we found out that the pandemic was a worldwide thing. Let's listen to a couple of the students talk about where they were when the pandemic hit.
And I guess I thought it wasn't going to last this long either, but it was kind of like, oh, the ball's already rolling, and then somebody just slammed it.
Well, I wasn't in the country. I was on a church service mission in a country called Suriname. And so for us, as missionaries, we don't really get to look at the news. Our main goal is to help people. So we were kind of having offhand accounts from the natives there and from family members. A day later, we get the news that it's no longer safe to be in the country because their healthcare system isn't the best, and that we're going to be evacuated and sent back to the United States. However, Suriname, as a government, locked their borders, so there was no way for us to get out. And all of a sudden, we get an email from the United States Embassy, and they say, hey, guess what? You're now a political refugee of the United States. Tomorrow at 1500, you'll be on a flight back to the United States, be at the airport, or be left. So all of us frantically packed all of our stuff. We got onto an airport, and 36 hours later, through a very long night and 5 time zones, I landed in Seattle and drove home.
Life was pretty normal, okay. I was planning on a trip at spring break, but then the pandemic happened, so that was the week before. And so I had to cancel that trip and a trip I had that summer, which was a big letdown, but since then I've been able to get through that.
I remember when we got the news that there were going to be shutdowns at the school and rescheduling. We were on the bus back from Spokane with this choir. And people had been talking about COVID for a few weeks, but that moment really hit different.
All that, to say the least, this last year has been the ultimate dumpster fire.
We got back to school and we found out that classes would be canceled and our spring break would be a week longer. And by the way, the media shared with us that choirs were among the most dangerous things that we could have for spreading the virus. We ended up being online for both the spring quarter and the fall. And as professors, we learned about things like Band Lab, Sight Reading Factory, Zoom, Teams, Microsoft Teams. We explored concepts like transmission rates, droplets, microns, hang time, air refresh rates. And we learned about virtual choir. A virtual choir meaning a choir that doesn't sit in the same room with each other. It's an online-only entity. My question has always been, is a virtual choir really a choir? Let's listen to some of our students talk about virtual choir.
Virtual choir is great and also not great, because it's great that we get to, sing and put all of our parts together, and it's something that I've never done before, so I feel like that's a good experience. Get a lot of work with doing stuff digitally, but the same thing where I just really miss being around people and singing together. It's a different experience.
So I think it's a really important, wonderful way of making music right now during the pandemic, or before or after the pandemic. But I think it's a different thing from in-person ensembles because they're just different entities, and it's hard to compare them or feel like one is replacing the other, because they're not, they're different mediums.
In one of my classes this quarter, in Conducting 2 with Dr. Fagan, we've been talking a lot about making music and making music together. And there's something that happens when you put musicians together in a room and their collective talent just gets, I don't know, exaggerated or brought out by a conductor and by the fact of being together. And it's something that I don't think can be fully grasped in a sense of a virtual ensemble or a virtual choir. Even though they are good for a purpose, I don't think they will or should replace live music.
I think it's really cool that more and more choirs are getting into it, because we can now interact and like make something with people that we would never even meet in our entire lives. And then just having that, it's not the same as like singing a concert in person, but you can always have that there's a lot of work that still goes into virtual choir stuff, and I've seen a few of the Eric Whitaker ones that have come out, and I think it's really awesome that people have still come together and worked on that, and they have that forever now.
To me, it's important to hear. Ever since I've been in choir, I've come to understand that singing is at least 75% hearing. So you produce sound based on the kind of feel that what you listen to the best of your ability. So in a virtual choir, you can't really hear that, so you just have to do your best and hope everything lines up, which is why I know it takes you have to do multiple takes to get the perfect setup.
Tonight in the Informants, we said that we would perform and also inform. We've been informing, and we will be doing 3 different videos of pieces that we performed. We decided that we would take the Bluebird of Stanford and record it both ways, with a virtual choir setting and then live on our stage. This 3-minute piece easily took us 20 to 30 hours to put together. Luckily, we have at Central Joseph, who knows technology, and Alan Larson, who's our building tech and also knows Premiere Pro, Logic Pro, and other things as well. So the producing of this piece took a long time. If you were going to do a full concert of virtual choir, which a lot of high school directors are being asked to do around the country, that can easily take 100 to 150 hours for a concert. The Stanford Bluebird is one of the most beautiful choral pieces in existence. Soprano solo, and we've actually put some pictures as a background of the virtual choir video. I'd like to thank Renata Tundland of Norway for her pictures of lakes. This is a text by Mary Coleridge, and it's a kind of a snapshot of a bird basically flying over a lake. The text is up on your screen right now. Let's enjoy Bluebird by Charles Villiers Stanford. So thank you, Joseph, for the work you did on that virtual video. It's worth saying again that a virtual choir is not an actual choir. It's more you sing your part and then the engineer goes to work on it and makes it sound good, which is valuable and valid, but it's not a choir. So the beautiful setting of Bluebird, which we will reprise at the end of the informants. In the meantime, more comments from the students, various topics such as online classes, masks, and isolation.
Definitely took a dive in musicianship, at least for a while.
You know, it's harder to practice. It changes the dynamic of your motivation when it becomes, okay, now my home is my school and my practice area and my sleeping area. And so it's compartmentalizing my practice habits was one of the most difficult aspects of having to, you know, just figure this out at home.
I never used to use a planner before the pandemic, but I would say I'm a better student now. Not that I'm getting any better grades, but I would say that I'm, you know.
And I definitely hate Zoom classes. My eyes hurt every day.
I honestly was not excited at all because I am not an online learning student. Even last year, I tried to do an online class and I totally didn't do good. So I don't know. This online classes have definitely been a struggle for me because I love the feeling of being in a classroom actually.
Even in conducting these interviews, I've gotten to know the members of the Chamber Choir a lot better, and it's made me realize building relationships with other people is a big part of any educational experience, especially so in music and choir. And I've come to realize that part of being involved in choir is maybe what we're missing the most out of the online setting.
I hate online classes so much just because I miss people and I'm a people person. I just want to be back in person again. This is great. I love it. Whatever scraps we're getting right now, I love it.
I think I had it easy compared to other majors. The nature of my specific major and my specialization is stuff can be easily done online. I know that others, especially music department and music department, people in like pre-med, I know they felt it way more than someone like me. To me, it was just like,
At the beginning of the school year, I almost didn't come to school because my mindset was, how in the heck can I learn about music if I'm not in person? But I think that just coming together as much as we can, and even just when we met with 4 people in the choir room to work on music together, I think it's kind of put into perspective what we can do even when we're distance.
And that's one thing that I really missed, is being able to just shine brightly and change someone's day just through my smile. And then have other people change my day through their smile and their wave and their caring, so.
It's been good to see the increase in a positive use of technology and of social media as people are reaching out to others and families are reconnecting. And I think I had more Zoom calls with extended family during this time than ever before, and it was great because now I feel like we're more connected and we can have a better long distance relationship.
I was starting to get more performance experience and trying to work on not being as anxious, and now suddenly everything's online and I feel like the thought of performing in front of people makes me way more anxious than it did before, because I'm so used to, like, I can record something, if I don't like it, if I mess up, I can just stop it and re-record it. Yeah. So the thought of getting up in front of people and really just having like one time to do something is a lot more scary after having, like, I don't know, a year of not performing in person.
I have to be more aware of myself because my voice teacher can't tell me to open my mouth because I have a mask on, so she can't see that. So I've had to be just more generally aware of myself while singing, so I've become a better vocalist.
I understand how it is a hindrance, but I don't know. When I go out in public, I really do like my mask on. Like, I always Like now doing it is now it's more of a normal thing. You can go outside. Oh, I need my mask.
You don't have to fake like little emotion.
Yeah, I don't have to fake smile.
I don't have to say hi to Nancy in the aisle at the grocery store. I don't care about Nancy. Nothing's happening here. Yeah. And in some ways, I think wearing a mask is actually kind of a neat tool. I may way down the road, if I ever teach conducting, I might use it as a tool for conductors who might use their mouth too much.
Luckily I live with 3 other people, so I'm not super lonely, but I just kind of stay at my house and go on a lot of drives. I go on a drive probably every day. I waste a lot of gas, but it's my time to scream music and cry if I need to.
Yeah, I've always been relatively socially anxious, and something about not talking to people for many months really just made me forget how to interact with anybody. For me at least, like being alone, I had more time to like think about things. So like I had more time to think about like, oh man, a lot of people are very sick. And well, the worst way to say it is, man, it's a real bummer, but it makes it difficult to like overlook things like that and to not find everything stressful.
I don't know, I was thinking today of what a big blessing in some ways, some respects, that COVID has been in my life. In light of all the negative things that have happened, there's been a lot of cool, unforeseen blessings, like a new piano teacher that is absolutely amazing, a newfound zeal for what I do, and a new passion for practice and for hard work, because without hard work we can't really do anything.
I hope that, I know the people that are more affected. I just hope that they can just endure, because this too will pass.
So I have a convertible. I have a VW red convertible Bug. So if you ever see that car around town, that's me. But anyway, I've been listening to a lot more music. I've been spending a lot more money on food and takeout. Trying to get outside more as time has gone by.
I think there have been a lot of negative things that have happened this past year, but there has also been some positive things, and something that I've really learned for myself this year is how to be self-disciplined and how to depend upon myself to do things on time and create my own schedules, as well as including things like self-care. I know that that has been something that a lot of people have talked about this year, and making sure that you're staying sane and that you're drinking enough water and you're staying healthy.
I have found ways to take better care of myself, which I hear from a lot of people. And I think that comes from this kind of influx of extra time that we had. I think it's taught me that going forward, when we do get back to normal, I can still do those same things and prioritize for myself.
I finally started taking care of myself. It was a learning experience how to be alone and not lonely, and figuring out ways to communicate with my friends without being together. I started going to therapy and I figured all that stuff out. So, and I think without the pandemic, I probably wouldn't have done that.
So after 2 quarters of online only, we, as a choral team, decided that we could come back face to face. And so January 20th, which was over 10 months since I had heard a choir, we had our first face-to-face rehearsal. And students were decidedly excited about this. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Well, when I found out that we were going to be able to meet this quarter, first of all, I was really excited, because I feel like singing in a choir virtually is nothing like being around other people. But I think we were really able to develop some things that we wouldn't have been able to do. Like, I never would have learned how to use BandLab or any of those other virtual tools if it weren't for that. And unfortunately, the very first rehearsal, I wasn't able to be here, and I spent almost the entire rehearsal crying, staring at my iPad, which was really hard. And I know Leora, who was the other person who was on Zoom, was having a tough time too. But it wasn't just sadness, it was also excitement to just see everyone else singing together. And I think that we will definitely not take anything for granted for the rest of our time at school, for sure.
I felt a lot of joy. I don't know.
He'd been texting me for weeks, like, can we harmonize?
No, seriously, in high school, Professor Bain was my high school band teacher, so it was like, he showed me that music is way bigger than just notes. So that's why I'm like, it just really sucked not being able to sing with your friends or sing in this new choir and everything. And I don't know about fall quarter, it was totally up for me. But like, be able to come back winter quarter and be with people and make good music is really refreshing. It's really refreshing.
I was nervous. I'm still nervous. But I appreciate seeing people. It's kind of hard to like care sometimes, and having other people around just keeps you accountable. And sounds way better.
Like being able to be in a group setting that is following COVID guidelines, but still allows me to like explore my musicianship and explore a different side of it that I didn't have growing up, because I didn't do choir until 2019 for the first time. And so this is a whole new thing I didn't know that I loved, and something that I've gotten to experience pretty much for the first time through the pandemic, and it's really helped me keep going and want to stay in Ellensburg on campus.
I think the excitement is still there every single week, and especially at the beginning, I know I would still call myself an introvert, but not to the point of wanting to be isolated all the time. So every time chamber is in session, I'm super excited to come in. I think that the very first week we met in person, I might have been a little more nervous than excited, because I felt like, oh, well, I've been in chamber choir a little bit on Zoom, but this is like the real deal, so I need to make sure I'm like good enough this time, you know? It just felt like everything was real and back to normal again, which I know that's not the way it is, because virtual choir is still virtual choir, and I still got to see everyone and sing with everyone to some extent, but it was just a whole different ballgame coming back, and I am so excited every week.
I don't know, I think I'm feeling really positive in rehearsals that we're just able to be there and be together. And I mean, every time we sing, like every rehearsal, there's some point where I'm totally getting choked up just because it's so amazing to be singing together, and I miss that so much.
But I wish we could be in person again. I mean, all together without masks, how it was before, but I don't think it'll be like that again for a while.
I remember a rehearsal early on in this quarter feeling the way that I did when I got to school here, feeling like I hadn't been practicing this skill for a little bit, and that was kind of rusty. I definitely felt that when I came back. So.
I mean, I'm really glad that we got to start singing again this quarter. I mean, it's been really tough, to say the least, trying to do this choir stuff online. I mean, the group aspect is less there.
Yeah, totally.
And so to get to hang out with these people and sing with these people again is just such a joy.
Mm-hmm. What's going through my mind is feeling incredibly lucky to be doing this again, to be back doing this, and trying to convey that sort of like that sacred feeling while we sing.
We end this informant with a couple of live performances. The first one will be the Cantique de Jean Racine of Gabriel Fauré, conducted by the teaching assistant here in the choral area, Joseph Fitzgerald. You'll notice on our stage that we're distanced. We have masks on. I should tell you that our rehearsals are no more than 45 minutes. There's a half hour of air refresh time between classes. We try to stay at least 8 feet apart from each other. We wear masks, and basically when we enter and exit the room, we try to stay distanced as well. So safety is a high priority. At any rate, we're going to be singing the last two things on the informants. We're going to be singing the Cantique, conducted by Joseph, and the text is on your screen right now. That'll be performed on the piano by Isaac Montgomery, a piano major here who also sings in the choir. And then we will end with the Bluebird once again, this time with masks, and Leora Allen, the soloist. You'll notice the very last thing that happens is there's one note that kind of keeps going as if there's something to come. I would like to say that it's great to see that there is hope. We have vaccines being given. We have people taking good care of themselves and making sure that this virus doesn't get transmitted. And I think there's reason to hope. And I think this last note symbolizes that to me. Thank you for joining us on this Informants. you.